If you're an active Amazon seller, you'll know how important it is to have well optimized pay-per-click campaigns. We don't want to be wasting money on irrelevant clicks or just searches that don't really work for us. So, one of the keys to being successful as an Amazon FBA seller is understanding how to optimize your advertising campaigns. Now, typically, you might think that you can only optimize your pay per click campaigns once you start selling and once you can see where clicks are coming from and what customers are searching for. But that's not completely true. There is actually a way to be able to optimize your pay per click campaigns before you have even launched your product and before you've even launched any of your advertising campaigns. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you a couple of tricks that you can employ so that you know which negative keywords to put into your advertising campaigns, which will basically mean that you're able to start optimizing your campaigns before you actually start selling, which is going to result in you having less wasted spend, higher profits, and you just being generally happier. One of the easiest ways to optimize our pay-per-click advertising campaigns and bring down wasted spend is by using something called a negative keyword. And a negative keyword is quite simply a keyword or search term that you give to Amazon, and when you give it to them, you say, I don't want you to show my listing ad whenever a customer uses that search term when browsing on Amazon. And the reason this is useful is because Amazon doesn't really know all of the keywords that are associated with your product, but you don't want your product to show. So a good example of that is, let's say that you're selling a medium-sized black yoga mat. So Amazon knows that you are selling a yoga mat, but it doesn't know really that if a customer types in yellow yoga mat or large yoga mat, that they're probably not going to buy your product because it's not yellow and it's not large. It's different to those. So that is where it's really useful to use negative keywords to basically say to Amazon, I don't want you to show my listing ad for anything that is large, that is medium, that is small, etc. if your product isn't one of those, or anything that is black, brown, blue, yellow, red, whatever. Now, normally when people are setting up themselves to be a seller on Amazon FBA, they don't think to add negative keywords to their pay-per-click campaigns before they've got any data. What they will normally do is they'll start running their advertising campaigns, they'll start selling, and then they'll wait a couple of weeks and then download their advertising reports and then look at the keywords that have resulted in them being charged but haven't resulted in any sales. And this is a big mistake because sometimes, or quite frequently actually, a lot of the search terms that come up for in the search term report where you've had clicks but no sales, those are quite obvious and probably ones that you could have guessed. So that is my first tip in this video. What I would say is, before you start selling, when you're setting up your advertising campaigns, you need to think of possible search terms that are related to your product but not so related that a customer would want to buy. So for example, let's say that we are selling a large blue yoga mat. What I tend to do is I think of associated keywords that a customer might use with yoga mat in the keyword, but aren't actually my product. So if we're selling a large blue yoga mat, then we can add as a negative keyword any keyword that has medium in it or small in it, because we know if a customer is on Amazon searching for a small yoga mat, they've got something very specific in mind. And Amazon's going to think, oh great, a customer here is searching for small yoga mat. This seller here is selling a yoga mat, so we're going to show their listing, which is going to result in the customer seeing the advert, your advert for a large yoga mat, and possibly clicking. And when they click into it, you're going to get charged, and then they'll see that it's large, it's too big, and they won't buy. So that is my first tip. And the easiest way to do this, guys, is when you are setting up your advertising campaign, you literally come onto this screen here, you go through the normal settings that you would go through when you are creating an advertising campaign, and then right at the bottom it says negative keyword targeting, and this is exactly where you need to enter all of those keywords that are kind of associated with your product but not associated enough to get you a purchase. So if we were selling let's just say a small yoga mat, here I would change it to negative phrase, and that basically means that any phrase that has got medium in it or large in it, we do not want our listing to show. So now that we've put medium and large in, what will happen is if a customer types in on Amazon medium yoga mat or large yoga mat, our listing isn't going to show. And that is great because we're selling a small yoga mat, and it means hopefully we're going to get less irrelevant clicks. Now, this of course can apply to quite a few keywords. Just be sensible about it. Another good example that I like to do is just think of like the opposite of something. So if I was selling, I don't know, vitamin pills for people, then I would want to probably get rid of any keywords that are for animals or dogs. You can get vitamin pills for animals, but of course, if someone types in vitamin pills for dogs and our listing shows up, so vitamin pills for humans, the customer might not realize that. They'll click, will get charged, and then they will see, oh, these pills are for humans, so that's not relevant to what I want. So it's just slight differences that you need to basically add in as negative keywords, because Amazon isn't really clever enough to understand that some of these keywords aren't relevant to the product that you're selling. So that is my first tip. Put in opposites and things. If you're selling clothes, if you're selling a medium top or medium clothes, then you want to put in small, large. If you're selling a product that comes in red, I would add in other colors, so black, brown, gray, whatever. And by doing this, you are going to avoid getting unnecessary clicks and being charged too much for your campaigns. Now, that is my first tip to being able to optimize your campaigns before you've launched, before you've got any data. And my second tip is it's a similar method, but this time we're going to be using Helium 10. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to need to do in order to complete this analysis is come onto Amazon and go onto a competitor's listing that is slightly different to yours. So for this one, I've come onto a competitor that is selling a large purple yoga mat. And in this example, we are selling a small one. So you'll want to come onto a competitor that's slightly different. If you can't find one that is slightly different, it's very similar. Just do this analysis anyway, because you might be surprised at the information that you get. But come onto it and then scroll down, and then you'll need to press the keywords button here. Now you will need the Helium 10 Chrome extension for this. It's free, so I'd advise you to get it. And once you press keywords, what will happen is this listing is going to load in a tool of Helium 10's called Cerebro. And Cerebro is basically going to tell us all of the keywords that this listing appears for when customers are searching on Amazon. So once that's loaded, I would then scroll down and I would change this organic rank to be 1 to 50. So we only want to see keywords where this listing is in position 1 to 50. Any further out than that, and the keyword probably isn't going to be that relevant, and we're just going to be wasting time. So put 1 to 50. I sometimes like to put organic as well. It's up to you, just in case the list of keywords is far too high. And then simply press apply. Then once that's loaded, I would scroll down and I put everything in order of search volume. So we only want to see the keywords in order of search volume, like highest first. Now, these are all the keywords here that this competitor is ranking for in position 1 to 50 in order of search volume. And now this is a great way for us to basically look through all of these keywords and think, is that keyword relevant to my listing? And if it isn't, then we can simply copy it and add it as a negative keyword to our pay-per-click campaign. So let's just have a look. So here we've got yoga mats for women. So that's got 30,000 searches a month. Now, this is really useful because what happens if we're selling a yoga mat that for whatever reason is targeted at men? So immediately now we can say this has got 30,000 searches a month, and Amazon may not know that our yoga mat is targeted at men. So what we can do is simply copy it, yoga mats for women, and then we can go into our Amazon advertising campaign, and then in the negative keyword section, paste it in, and then change that to negative exact. We do not want our listing to show whenever a customer types in yoga mats for women. Now, in addition to that, instead of that, you could say, look, any keyword that's got women in it is not going to be relevant to my product. So instead of having yoga mats for women, you can simply just have women, and then you can press negative phrase and then press add. and for some reason it's not letting me add this. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's because I haven't added a product yet, but that's exactly what you need to do, right? So let's now have a look at some of the other results. So we've got yoga mats for men. So on the opposite side, actually the search volume that is a lot lower, but it's still pretty high. On the opposite side, if we're selling a product that is for women, then we would want to add men as a negative keyword. So let's just have a look at a few others. Here's another one. Look, yoga block. So that's got 7,000 searches a month, and that yoga mat that we just looked at is appearing for it, right? But a yoga block is quite different to a yoga mat, isn't it? And maybe Amazon isn't clever enough to know the difference there. So what you can say is, look, yoga block, it's very unlikely that a customer searching on Amazon with yoga block is going to want to buy my yoga mat. So again, to reduce unnecessary spend, stop wasted clicks, you would copy yoga block and you would paste it into your Amazon campaign as a negative exact, right? So that is exactly how easy it is, guys. You just do this exercise here of basically going through and thinking, is it relevant? So that's the second tip from me. Use the Cerebro tool on a competitor of yours. And the third tip is, again, it's very similar. Instead of Cerebro, we want to be using a tool called Magnet. And Magnet works in a similar fashion, except instead of looking up a competitor, you type in a seed keyword. So let's type in our seed keyword of yoga mat, and then we will press get keywords. And then once that's loaded, again, we will change match type to be organic. We'll press apply, and then we will put it in order of search volume. So now let's do that piece of analysis again. We'll scroll down and we'll look at the keywords that are appearing. So we've got yoga mats for women. So again, women's cropped up. Is our product suitable for women? If it is, fine, leave it. If not, we can add it as a negative exact or a negative phrase. Gym mat, what about that? You might think, actually, my product could not be used in a gym. It's not suitable. In that case, you know, that keyword there has got 25,000 searches. So you might be able to add gym as a negative phrase, which means that any keyword that has got the word gym in it is not going to result in your listing being shown. So again, guys, it's very similar process here. You would just go through all this here, looking for keyword ideas that are kind of relevant to your product, but not relevant enough to basically make you think that you'll get a sale. So those are my tips there, guys. Use your own intuition, use your own experience and knowledge of your own product to know what is relevant but isn't going to result in a sale in all likelihood, and then use Helium 10's Cerebro and Magnet tools to basically get given even more keywords that are associated with your product but aren't in all likelihood going to result in a sale. So I will put a discount link for Helium 10 in the description box below. And if you guys would like to step up your knowledge of pay-per-click campaigns, how to set them up, how to optimize them, just how to run PPC in general, I do have a Smashers Academy PPC mastery course that is available, and I will also put a link for that in the description box below. So that is it for this week's video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. See you next time.